Well. Not quite time for another victory lap, but we are very close. Check this out from Mr. Breaking News himself. Ford CEO Jim Farley said yesterday that the company is getting closer to deciding on whether to partner with another company on full self-driving. And you guys may recall that on Tesla's most recent earnings call, roughly a week ago, Tesla disclosed that they have had discussions with a number of companies about licensing FSD. And you might also recall that I have personally been predicting very publicly and very confidently that Ford will be the first major automotive manufacturer to announce a licensing FSD agreement with Tesla in the future. Of course, Ford aren't going to come right out and say that yet, but check out the quote from Jim Farley on the call. Quote, "We're not so Pollyanna-ish about our own capacity that we're not going to look at other people's systems." In other words, Ford aren't so up their own fucking asses that they think, yep, we'll solve this, no problem. Jim acknowledging that they're at least considering the idea, possibly even have had discussions with companies about licensing FSD. Also pointing out that they do understand that level 4 personal autonomy is going to be interesting at some point. He continues, "We need a strong strategy team to decide. Do we partner?" Now, again, I just want to take a moment. This is the Ford CEO on their recent earnings call describing their own thinking processes, pointing out they're not so arrogant to think that they'll be able to solve this themselves. And now quite openly and transparently sharing the fact that, well, hey, I mean, do we partner? Hint, hint, hint. Yes, they do, and it will be with Tesla. You can fucking count on it. Skipping ahead just a little bit, Jim ends saying, "And so I think we'll make a good decision," concluding that we're a lot closer to that partnering decision at Ford. So imagine my shock. Ford soon to announce a formal partnership where they'll be licensing FSD from Tesla. It's almost like I've been predicting exactly this would happen for, a year or two at least. Also, one other thing to note, on Tesla's most recent earnings call, they explicitly mentioned that it's not worth their while to partner with low-volume companies on FSD licensing. So rest in fucking peace to EV startups. Only a matter of time, folks. And as I record this, very few people are considering FSD licensing in their Tesla valuation models, except some guy who has had that in his model since he first published it on Patreon in 2021. What was his name again? Oh, that's right, it was me. How could I possibly have known? While we're on the subject of US automotive manufacturers, from Ford with a competent CEO who is honest, fairly transparent, and rightly praises Tesla, acknowledges their lead, and is likely to announce a partnership to license FSD and possibly maybe pull a rabbit out of the hat and somehow save his company. On the other end of the spectrum, James the Goat Stevenson with this incredible caption, "General Motors acquires full ownership of Turd Sandwich." Oh, this shit's amazing. Okay, check this out. Government Motors acquires full ownership of Cruise autonomous business. And somebody replied, "Mary the Goat continues to outdo herself. A true leader who matters. I'm serious. You did it." Bro, this is just the most incredible run I've ever seen of just destroying a company. Turd Sandwich is absolutely right. The contrast couldn't be starker between Ford and General Motors. Ford have a competent leader. He's honest. He's willing to acknowledge Tesla's leadership, the fact that they're pushing the whole industry towards electrification. Their engineering is incredible. That the Ford team are trying to learn as much as they can from Tesla. Giving credit where it's due. Ford also the first US automaker to partner for access to Tesla's supercharging network, right? And then the stark contrast, you have Mary B. Aspara, the least competent automotive CEO on the fucking planet. I mean, she's just dumb, not fit for duty. A few years ago, we have multiple partnerships with obvious fraudulent companies. We got Nikola, we got Fraudstown Motors. What an absolute disaster. Called it at the time, super embarrassing. They did no due diligence. It was desperation. You have her outright lying to investors, shaking her head while lying, suggesting that GM can absolutely catch up to Tesla in EV sales a few years from now. False. And this, it's just... Oh, and should I mention that she just so happens to be on the board of directors of one of the most woke companies on earth right now, Disney? Nah, I shouldn't mention that. It's probably irrelevant. So from two US automotive manufacturers, legacy automotive manufacturers, struggling to survive, here is some news from Tesla, who are also just a car company, allegedly. I think this news might be a big deal. Tesla is now officially hiring engineers to prepare for mass production of the Optimus humanoid robot. Here are some of the job listings. So it turns out Tesla was actually serious about ramping bot production ASAP. These are real jobs, real listings. Tesla currently hiring. We have a manufacturing engineering technician for the Tesla bot. I'm not going to repeat myself. These are all listings for the Tesla bot. Manufacturing quality technician, manufacturing process technician. So hang on. Manufacturing. Huh. If I didn't know any better, based on these job listings, it appears that Tesla is actually serious about actually manufacturing these Optimus bots. This isn't prototype designer. We've got production managers, process supervisors, associate production managers, manufacturing controls development engineer. I mean, we could keep going on. Elon Musk recently disclosed some plans about the Optimus humanoid robot and the production ramp, the timing, aiming to literally increase production by orders of magnitude every year. A 10x, a 10x, a 10x, admitting, that's a stretch goal, but that's what we'll aim for. I don't think people see this coming. Remember, Musk also disclosed that it wasn't just a number pulled out of his ass, but one he's considered. In the future, Optimus could be doing $10 trillion of revenue per year. That's going to make both autonomy and Tesla's automotive business look like rounding errors. Speaking of rounding errors, back to automotive businesses, Ford lost around $37,000 per electric vehicle sold in the fourth quarter of 2024. Now, I'm not very good at math here, but if you lose $37,000 per vehicle sold, how do you stay in business if you keep selling those vehicles for comparable losses? Is it even worth continuing to produce those vehicles? Do you just abandon plans? Maybe some context could be helpful, right? Obviously, if you're ramping up a compelling electric vehicle, you're not going to make money selling it from day one. But eventually you will. Tesla's Model 3 has been sold profitably since 2019. Let's just be generous and call it 2020 and round it. So Tesla has a product first introduced more than half a decade ago that has been profitable for more than half a decade. We'll just round it and just say just half a decade. 5 years. 5 fucking years. Yet an experienced automotive manufacturer like Ford isn't making any money selling its electric vehicles. In fact, it's losing staggering amounts. We're looking tens and tens of thousands of dollars here. Bro, the amount Ford is losing per electric vehicle sold last quarter is almost what a customer can pay Tesla to buy an entry-level Model 3, upon which Tesla makes money. In fact, Tesla is manufacturing their vehicles all in for a lower price point, a lower cost than Ford is losing per electric vehicle sold. Yikes. More on Ford, who, by the way, are in a much better position than Government Motors with their electric vehicle business. Ford's electric vehicle division lost $1.38 billion in the fourth quarter of 2024, and their electric vehicle revenue was down 35%. Yikes. Its EV unit had negative EBIT margin of minus 98.1%, and Ford's total electric vehicle division losses, $5.1 billion in 2024. Note how this is described. On the left here, Ford Model E is in their electric vehicle business. Volume and revenue down 9% and 35% respectively, versus Tesla, for example, roughly flat. Now check this out. Driven by industry pricing pressure and competitive market dynamics, also known as we can't compete on costs with Tesla, so we're fucked. Remember, you guys might have heard me say once, twice, or 600 times that Tesla is dictating pricing in the electric vehicle market. And companies who wish to continue to sell their electric vehicles must compete with Tesla on price, but because they can't actually produce vehicles for even close to the same price, they have much higher costs than Tesla. If they chase Tesla and follow their prices down and try to compete with the pricing pressure and competitive market dynamics, they end up losing, $37,000 per electric vehicle sold. Yikes. Meanwhile, next-gen Ford F-150 electric vehicle production target pared back. So we've just learned that Ford has pushed back the start date of production of their second generation Ford F-150 electric version to 2027. But wait, there's more, and that's worse. They were previously aiming for capacity of 300,000 units per year of the second generation electric F-150. It's now less than 100,000. And it's not for a lack of trying. As Yoda says, of course, do or do not, there is no try. But Ford have been trying. In fact, they were first to market with their electric pickup truck. The original F-150 Lightning beat Cybertruck to market. And the F-150 is an incredibly well-established brand. Ford F-Series, F-150, 250 and 350. On a good year, not far off combined sales of nearly 1 million units. Incredible. A strong brand. And now they're expecting their second generation electric F-150, 100,000 units per year of capacity, that's it? They have given up. And in case you guys aren't aware, Tesla's Cybertruck is outselling the Ford F-150 Lightning, and it's still ramping up. F-150 Lightning launched almost 3 years ago. But is there light at the end of the tunnel? Well, Ford sold a record 566,000 a record 5,666 electric vehicles in the US in January, which is up 21% year over year. But keep in mind, there can be shutdowns and production stops and starts. It can be a bit lumpy. The Mustang Mach-E, the Model Y killer, a whopping 3,529. F-150 Lightning, 1,907 units sold in the whole month of January in the US. And their e-Transit van, 230. I mean, that's rough. Ford appears to be learning a lesson, which is not that consumers don't want electric vehicles. They do. Year over year, huge increases in electric vehicle sales. A decade ago, give or take, not even 1% of all vehicles sold. That's increased 10 times in the last decade, in rough terms. Electric vehicle sales as a percent of all sales continue to increase year after year. So it's not that consumers don't want electric vehicles. It's just that consumers aren't willing to buy electric vehicles that don't offer great value. As I mentioned earlier, in Q4, Ford's losing an average of $37,000 per electric vehicle sold. Yet the following month, despite being willing to lose crazy money per electric vehicle sold, they can barely sell any. Legacy auto companies are really stuck between a rock and a hard place. I guess you'd say the rock would be Tesla and the hard place Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers. EV sales, like I said, are surging. A problem, Ford can't produce compelling electric vehicles for a low enough cost to have a low enough purchase price to be selling through high volume. The Mustang Mach-E is the equivalent of a Model Y. Same category. Model Y is the world's best-selling vehicle, doing well over 1 million units per year. Clearly, if you make an extremely compelling, well-priced, high-value SUV, compact SUV, you can sell 1 million plus per year. And like I said, the Ford F-Series combined, not far off 1 million combined units per year for the internal combustion engines, right? So clearly there is a market out there for compelling pickup trucks. Cybertruck's continuing to sell like hotcakes, although it continues to ramp up. A big market for vans globally as well. So what the fuck is going on? What's going on is Ford is discovering reality. Trying to sell compelling electric vehicles and not go bankrupt on the same planet as Tesla, not particularly easy. And like I said, Ford are the best positioned US automaker beside Tesla. And it's still a coin toss as to whether or not they're going to make it. So what is the dark horse scenario? How in the fuck might Ford survive? Amazingly enough, it goes back to the very beginning. Licensing Tesla FSD. Right now, Ford's losing way too much money per electric vehicle sold. But if they can keep making enough of them, eventually they can drive their costs down and be losing less money, maybe even eventually breaking even. But how does that help? Especially when their ICE business profits are going to collapse as volumes collapse because people shift towards EVs. That's a whole other issue. I've talked about the death spiral before. If Big Daddy Tesla is willing to be generous in the FSD licensing agreement, that might just be enough to help Ford survive. Only just. How would this work? Hypothetically, let's say, because today you can get FSD in a Tesla for $99 a month. We'll call it 100 because it's an easier number to work with, okay? Let's say that Tesla makes an agreement with Ford. Ford begins covering their vehicles in the necessary sensors, aka cameras. High enough volume that Tesla's willing to work with them. The engineers have to do a bit of tinkering for FSD, for camera placements, blah, blah, blah. Once Tesla FSD can operate a vehicle autonomously, the amount of value provided to a customer who has the FSD subscription is astronomical. Suddenly, you freed up your time, your brain. Instead of having to focus on the vehicle and supervise, you do whatever the fuck or whoever the fuck you want in your vehicle. So let's say Tesla decides to be extremely generous and do a 50-50 split with FSD. How would this look? Well, Ford charges their customers $99, but let's call it $100 a month for FSD in a Ford vehicle. Of that, Ford gets to keep $50 and Tesla takes $50. A 50-50 split. For Tesla, this is pure profit. Free money. I mean, why not? And now suddenly Ford has a recurring revenue stream on a piece of shit electric vehicle they can't make any money selling. If a customer subscribes to FSD in a Ford vehicle and Ford's taken $50 a month, it's only $600 per year, but it is recurring revenue. Over half a decade, that's $3,000. Over an entire decade, we're now looking at $6,000. That could be enough for Ford to be breaking even. Still, a very long and unreasonable amount of time. But, expanding on this dark horse scenario, what if part of this licensing agreement also involves Ford electric vehicles using Tesla FSD to also operate on the Tesla Robotaxi network? And in this case, let's just say Tesla also takes a 50% share of the profits on each of those rides, and Ford gets to keep the other 50%. That may be enough to keep the company in business. If something like this doesn't happen, I mean, goddamn, dude, it will take more than a fucking miracle for Ford to survive. So put a pin in it. Don't be surprised if that's how things play out. Now, speaking of companies going out of business or somehow miraculously turning themselves around and surviving against all odds, I saw this one over on X. Remember how Elon bought Twitter and totally destroyed the company through his own hubris? At least that's what I read. Goddamn, yeah, I remember this at the time. Turns out it's not only profitable, but profit has doubled since he took it private. Quote from an article here. X also reported to the investors 2024 adjusted earnings before interest, taxes, blah, fuck yeah, cool, was about 1.25 billion and annual revenue 2.7 billion. Investors, as in people who invested in X with Elon taking the company private, said that was a better picture than they had expected and that X's finances hit an inflection point a few months before the November election. In 2021, Twitter reported adjusted EBITDA, the same shit we saw here, it's now at 1.25 billion, of about 682 million and about 5 billion in revenue. That was the last full year before Musk took the company private. Now, take a moment here, folks. Profits have approximately doubled under Musk's leadership, yet revenue roughly halved. So profit margins have not just doubled, really roughly closer to a quadrupling. What an incredible turnaround. Recall, by the way, a big contributing factor to revenues being down, advertiser boycotts funded by corrupt outlets working on behalf of I better not say that, I would never kill myself. Let's just leave it there. Robert Sterling sums things up nicely. Elon not only nearly doubled Twitter's EBITDA, he grew margins from 13% to 46%. Like I said, close to a quadrupling. Bonkers. This is one of the craziest things I've seen in business. What a legend. I mean, the dude ain't wrong. Now imagine for a moment that you're a retarded activist posing as a journalist a couple of years ago, writing articles about how Elon doesn't know how to run a social media company. He's just an engineer, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to work. The site will break if you lay off this many people. How many I was completely fucking wrong articles do you think are going to appear from these same activists pretending to be journalists about this incredible turnaround story? Now, why am I bringing this up today? Well, guess what? On screen now, some guy on X posted this. This is what DOGE is currently doing to the US government. And on screen, we have what appears to be 3 generations of Raptor engines. The first, seemingly a clusterfuck. Second generation, far more lean and efficient, yet still capable of doing the same, if not a better job. Fewer parts, and a massive leap forward into the third generation. Extremely streamlined. So little clutter. The deletion of countless totally unnecessary parts. A far superior, greatly streamlined, vastly more efficient design. By the way, I just have to take a quick moment to talk about how meta this is, right? We're looking at a post on X. Well, I've been talking about the huge turnaround in X, describing a comparable turnaround happening right now with the Department of Government Efficiency, details of which are being posted constantly on X. Talk about meta. Oh, and we ain't done yet. So you guys might recall me having pointed out relentlessly, actually, that almost the entire hate stream media leans heavily to the left, talking about corruption, insultingly referring to retarded activists pretending to be journalists as retarded activists pretending to be journalists, propagandists acting on behalf of the Democratic Party in the United States, running cover for the government, covering up corruption, what laptop, this kind of shit, and everyone's like, yo, Corona, shut up, stop wearing a tinfoil hat, just talk about Tesla, fuck you. Well, the Department of Government Efficiency continues to discover lots of waste, fraud and abuse, and a particular example, just again to drive this point home, to the brain-dead morons who think the media isn't biased, don't know who butters their bread, and think there's no such thing as corruption or influence peddling, Donald J. Trump posting some of the discoveries made by the Department of Government Efficiency. This is unbelievable. He writes, looks like billions of dollars have been stolen at USAID and other agencies, much of it going to the fake news media as a payoff for creating good stories about the Democrats. The left-wing rag known as Politico seems to have received $8 million. Okay, so I'm just going to say this again, right? DOGE has uncovered approximately $8 million of payments to a left-leaning media outlet. $8 million of payments coming from the US government. Now, why would any agency within the US government have a need to be putting $8 million in the pockets of a media outlet? The only thing I can think of is if they were hoping for some favourable coverage and or cover-ups and collusion. Of course, that would never happen. Meanwhile, the post continues. Did the New York Times receive money? Who else did? This could be the biggest scandal of them all. Perhaps the biggest in history. The Democrats can't hide from this one. Too big, too dirty. And remember, the hate stream media, who hate you, hate humanity, and appear to have received millions and millions and millions of dollars in totally not bribes at all from the US government recently, which obviously wouldn't at all have influenced any of their coverage or lack thereof on anything at all to do with the one true narrative. This same entity, the hate stream media, the legacy media, is currently being massively disrupted by independent content creators and one platform in particular known as X. Could this possibly have caused any negative coverage at all about Elon bad? No, that would never happen either. What a crazy conspiracy theory. In absolutely unrelated terms, here's a post from Chamath Palihapitiya. A picture is worth 1,000 words. On the left, the information from Donald Trump about DOGE discovering $8 million in payments to Politico. And on the right, we have a Politico piece. Democratic polling finds Elon Musk unpopular. Is he suggesting that this $8+ million to Politico from USAID may have possibly purchased some control over the one true narrative, which happens currently to be Elon bad. Nah, that would never happen. I'm just hallucinating. What laptop? I really don't think most people understand how fucked we would be if Musk had not purchased Twitter. None of this corruption would have been exposed. None of this collusion would have been exposed. And most importantly of all, there would be nowhere with any reasonable reach online where people could freely share their thoughts, opinions, and ideas, as opposed to being censored, deplatformed, shadow banned, or just straight up banned or suspended. Let's hear what the legend Dana White had to say about Musk's purchase. I don't think people realize how dark the path civilization was on prior to Musk's purchase of Twitter. To all the people who freaked out and shrieked that Elon shouldn't buy Twitter, it's a distraction, fuck you, you're going to hurt my Tesla stock. I mean, you can't fix stupid, so I may not be able to get through to you, but as I said at the time, and I mean actually said at the time, if this purchase didn't happen, the path humanity, civilization was on, your Tesla investment may ultimately have become worthless.
I mean, let's be honest. Elon was a superhero through this whole...
That's for sure.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Where are we right now without Elon Musk? What he did was incredible. And
why do you think he did it?
Because I think he's smart, and I think I think that something about him is fearless. The fact that he would go in and spend the kind of money that he did to buy that thing, basically just to find out what went on. I mean, he is literally a superhero in this country right now, as far as I'm concerned. And I think what he did also made a lot of people in that field, I guess I'd say, braver and say, you know what, we should follow his lead. And
facts have been spat. I think what Dana's really trying to say is Musk having a fucking pair helped other people find their pair.
And obviously having this administration, there's nothing worse than when the government comes after you.
Yep. What Musk did took courage, a lot of bravery, and amazingly, a lot of people at the time didn't realise that Musk was aware of what would be coming his way. Put a huge target on his back. And as a result of this purchase, the Democrat machine, the swamp, and the extremely left-leaning hate stream media have been going after the guy relentlessly. He knew this would come, yet he acted anyway because it was so important and necessary. I mean, he didn't have a choice. Elon Musk's psychology is pretty easy to understand. If he sees an asteroid coming, and he thinks he can help deflect the asteroid and prevent it from obliterating all life on Earth, and he doesn't happen to see anyone else who's already attempting to solve the same problem and going to be able to do it, he's like, oh, fuck, God damn it, dude. I mean, I wish I didn't have to, but fuck's sake, here we go again. I've got to do something. Reminds me of this in December 2022. Gary Black tagging Elon Musk, who'd written, "The woke mind virus is either defeated or nothing else matters." Gary writes, "Respectfully, if you ran a Twitter poll asking people to list the most pressing issues facing mankind today, woke mind virus wouldn't rank in the top 10. And some guy, oh wait, that's me, wrote in response to Gary, "If you ran a poll asking the dinosaurs to list the 10 most pressing issues facing them, the big new object in the sky would not have ranked in the top 10 either." This is the very reason Elon Musk has made this a priority. So few people recognize the threat. What asteroid? Obviously, the point that I was getting at here is that's the whole fucking point. No one else sees this threat, so no one's trying to do anything about it. And those who do see something can't do it. They're not in a position to do anything. Like, he has to act. Gary did respond to this post back in 2022, not quite understanding the point. He wrote, "Come on, Stephen, are you really comparing the reasoning ability of humans to those of dinosaurs?" In response, I wrote, "No, Gary. My point is that just as a typical dinosaur would not have understood the threat represented by an inbound asteroid, the typical human does not understand the threat of the woke mind virus. It is existential, and most people are entirely oblivious to this fact." So Elon out here saving the world from an imminent asteroid impact, despite the fact that most of the dinosaurs remained and still today remain oblivious. The real question is, will Elon Musk via Tesla be able to low-key prevent another asteroid impact from completely obliterating Ford via an FSD licensing agreement? Only time will tell. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, or I can keep going. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.